Hello and welcome to this episode of BizTalk on CGTN. I'm Lulu. Chinese President Xi Jinping concluded his 6-day state visit to France, Serbia and Hungary yesterday. This marks President Xi's second visit to Europe in 5 years, fueling expectations for strengthened cooperation and bolstered China-EU relations. For more insights, let's welcome our guests of the day. Cui Hongjian, Director of Department for European Studies at China Institute of International Studies. Great to have you, Mr. Cui. And also, let's welcome Mr. Zhuang Yan, President of CSI Solar. Mr. Zhuang, welcome.
Hi.
So let me start with Mr. Cui. France is actually the European country with the largest investment in China. What do you think are the major sectors driving economic cooperation at the moment between the two nations?
As we know, as a very important economic partners for the past 60 years, both China and France, they do have a lot of cooperation in economic and business. Of course, as we know, there are traditional cooperation in some sectors like aviation, like nuclear plant, and even high-speed railway. But of course, as we know now, because of the very, very huge change for the economic situation in both China and France, now we can find out a clear, gradual change for this cooperation in economic sectors, including now. As we know now, there are some more cooperation in agricultural products and also some green economy and even biologic technology and some other. So we can find out for both countries, they try to focus on the different economic stages, and also they try to find out some more cooperation to, give them more benefits for both two countries and also for both two people.
We've seen trade agreements being inked between China and France, and policies implemented as well to try to promote bilateral cooperation. How do you think those policies and those agreements have been filtered through business operations?
I think first of all, as we know, in recent years, there are viewpoints from the European side try to keep a distance, especially in its relations with China economically. And even for some European Union institutions, it raised the issue of so-called de-risking with China. And I think now, for once China and France, we have some more agreement, especially to promote the free trade. I think it will give a very strong signal to not only to some other European countries and also to European Union that the mutual benefits always in the interests for both two sides. So I think once there are some more favorable trade arrangement between China and France, certainly it will give a, very strong dynamic to help European Union to facilitate its policy environment when it wants to have some more cooperation with China in economic and business. And also at the same time, as we know, we are living in an environment, there are more and more so-called globalization tendencies. So I think once there are some more, favorable policies from both China and French government, certainly it will give another, I think, a very, very strong signal to the international community that the free trade and the opening economy still very, very important basis for our globalization, for our future cooperation.
Great insights there, Mr. Cui. Now let's take a step back and look at the past 10 years. In March 2014, President Xi opened a new era of the China-France Comprehensive Strategic Partnership during his inaugural visit to France. And fast forward to March 2019, on his second visit, President Xi emphasized the commitment of China and France to stride forward on the path of mutual development. So my question to you both is, how do you perceive the business environment in France evolving over the years? Can I start with Mr. Zhuang, please?
Yes, actually, France has been a pioneer on decarbonization. Europe is already a leader, and France is even more aggressive in that path. So that created a pretty favorable environment to our business there. So we can see another trend from Europe and France as well is the customer's emphasis on ESG and supply chain traceability, and of course, the carbon footprint measures on our product. So those, we consider that as a positive challenge, because it really helped us to continuously improve our entire business. So we feel this is a positive challenge, and actually this shows an opportunity for us, because we've been doing this pretty well, and therefore our business in France has been increasing, which is very encouraging.
Mr. Cui, what is your view on that? How do you see the involvement in France's business environment, especially for foreign businesses?
As we know, recent years, this change for French policy, a little bit, reflection of the whole policy environment in European Union. It's a little bit, I think, contradictory situation for France and also for European countries. On one side, they have some more and more and even large demand for more cooperation with other economies, especially with China. As we know, China as one of the biggest markets in the world still have a very big attractions to French and European investment. But at the same time, there are some more suspicions or worries from European and even French side about its competitiveness, especially in some certain sectors, including the green economy and also AI or some other. So on one side, they do need a lot of cooperation with China, but at the same time, they're worrying about the rising competition from China. So on this regard, I think now, not only France and some other European countries, they try to keep a balance between those two concepts. On one side, still, they try to get some more cooperation. They will have some more investment into Chinese market. But of course, at the same time, they also have some more regulations, they have some more laws, and to try to impose a limitation on Chinese investment in Europe. So I think that's the reason why at this moment, when President Xi visited France, he called for a kind of level playing field treatment with each other. So I think now it's time for both China and France, and also for both China and Europe. We need to find out more reasonable solutions for this situation. Indeed, I think that the European side and the French side should get a very, very clear messages from China that China will continue its opening up policies. But at the same time, I think France and Europe, they need to do the same thing. And also they need to try to, fight against any kind of, purpose from so-called protectionism.
Here on BizTalk, we connect the dots, shedding light on the real stories behind the economic landscape. To better understand China's dynamism and the economies and rhythms of business, propelling new drivers of growth.
China.
Chinese market is China.
BizTalk, your window into China and the global economy. Only on BizTalk.
Mr. Zhuang, let me get to you. So let's follow up on what Mr. Cui just said. The road, of course, it's not always sunshine and butterflies, and there might even be more road bumps in sectors that are considered as critical for further future development. So, Mr. Zhuang, new energy being one of them. So, through your experience, do you think there are any specific policies or agreements between the two nations that you believe would require improvement?
Well, I would say everything is bilateral, so it cannot be just a single side. We both have to make effort. So if you want me to mention anything, I would say ECS, the ECS policy in France, as well as the carbon footprint border adjustment measures, both leads to France and the EU's attention on the carbon footprint. In the end, it affects businesses' revenue and will have duty effect. So, however, I just want to point out how do you measure the carbon footprint? How do you evaluate that? So right now, I think the mechanism is rather vague, and there's a lack of breakdowns. So I would say a better refined formula on the measurement actually would encourage companies innovate more to reduce their carbon footprint on their product. So this is something that I think should improve. Both governments can work this out.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And Mr. Cui, so Mr. Zhuang was just talking from his own experience, from what his company has encountered through their business operations in France over there. So Mr. Cui, my question to you is, how do you think this culture difference or this work culture difference and regulatory environment would be influencing business partnerships and investment opportunities?
Certainly, I think there are, for both China, France, and even for both China and Europe, we do have a lot of cultural differences. Especially the cultural difference should be reflected on the difference on the logic and also mindset. But I think now the cultural difference itself could not be the barriers for further cooperation. As we know, even for European itself, one of the valuable for European integration is they need to get some consensus from a diversity of cultures, in different countries. So I think it's not the situation for European side just to distribute the cultural difference as one of the reasons why Europe and China should have some more competition, should have some more different grounds. But I think now the real issue is we need to take the value of the diversity. We need to take the value of the difference of culture. Because as we know, once we have some more discussion, once we have some dialogue and communication, the difference itself will become very, very important resources to help us to find out, diversity of solutions. So I think that's the reason why we always call the relations between China and France as an innovative one. Also, we are different, but we do share some, same or similar goals. So I think that's the important thing is we need to find out the common principles on the basis of cultural difference.
Mm-hmm. To find new consensus, that is. Great insights there. Well, actually, over the past 60 years, since diplomatic relations were established, bilateral trade volume between China and France has skyrocketed by 800 times. That's hitting $78.9 billion in 2023, positioning France as China's third largest trading partner in the EU. China-France trade spans from aircraft, satellites, and nuclear power plants to wine, cheese, and cosmetics. And this from French farm to Chinese table mechanism has become a shining business card of China-French cooperation. China has emerged as France's largest trading partner in Asia and second largest supplier in the world. Collaborations on technology innovation and clean energy sectors hold huge potential. Now let's zoom in on those two sectors. Mr. Cui, can I start with you? Could you provide us with a brief overview of the innovation cooperation between the two nations, and how does innovation drive economic collaboration?
If we take a look at the China-France relations, we can find the reach of the meanings about the innovation itself. As we know, 60 years ago, both two countries decided to have this diplomatic relations. It itself is a very, very innovative, behaviors. As we know, at that time, China and France in a different so-called blocks, but we were not satisfied with this so-called Cold War format. So we need to get some more independence from this, layout. So I think this innovation itself is in the DNA of the China-France relations. And besides these diplomatic relations, we can find out on political and also diplomatic relations. Always China, France, they have created so many. I mean, number one for both two relations, especially if we have a look at the China relations between China and the Western countries. Always France and China were pioneers to provide some more solutions to deal with relations between different political system. Another, of course, I think important issue is how about in the field of economic and business cooperation. As we know now, we are talking about the cooperation in aircraft between two countries. As we know, at that time, the Airbus is one of the in the first biggest aviation company from Western countries to have investment in China. I think to make this decision need a lot of inspiration of innovation and even some ambition. So I think so far, get a benefit from this innovation itself. Always the China-France cooperation, we are always on the first, front in the relations between China and the Western countries.
So, Mr. Cui, considering China does hold a certain leadership in clean energy development, how do you think can France get out of this? I mean, in other words, how can China's leadership in this assist France to achieve its climate goals?
As we know, firstly, I think on the policy level, both China and France, we shared a lot of common grounds. And both China and France were a pioneer to support these tendencies for the world to have some more, green economy, green transition, and some other. So now I think the big issue for both China and France is how could we try to practice those, policy, common goals and into some more pragmatic cooperation, especially in industries. As we know now, for France, it is in a process so-called reindustrialization, and including not only green economy and even some other sectors. So I think that now it's time, so also it's an opportunity for both of the countries to find out the maybe reconstruct this cooperation and to find out a new pattern for their labors. For example, in some green economy sector, now China has more technological advantages, and even China could have some more capacity to have a larger investment. It will change the traditional model for this cooperation between China and France. Perhaps we can find out some new type of, as we know, complementary cooperation in this new economy or some green and even digital economy. But at the same time, I think now for China and France, we can even find out some more opportunity to have some more cooperation in and with the third parties. As we know, it's not a new issue, but now it's time for us to have some more pragmatic cooperation.
And what about, Mr. Zhuang, what about CSI Solar? What are your future plans for the French market specifically?
Well, we actually have a plan to actually more downstream on their renewable business. I'm talking about more into the solar farm system integration in terms of power electronics, energy management, and energy trading algorithm. So which is more like a big data and AI side. And more importantly, actually, it's actually green hydrogen and green AI, green data centers. So we start to develop those assets in Europe already. It's not just France, it's pan-Europe. But for France specifically, we still have a very strong tie with their industry. So including CAE, which is their research institute, and also with Photowatt on R&D for low carbon modules. We have to find a way to deep dive. And in terms of local manufacturing, of course, we're closely monitoring their policy shift and try to find economic viability. But we're very open and positive.
.360-degree profiles of industry movers and shakers, tech mavericks, and policymakers. We drill down on their success. We ask how they set strategy and how they navigate in an increasingly competitive market. Real talk, real business. Join the conversation. BizTalk, only on CGTN.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on to the next topic, and we're going to zoom in a little bit on connectivity. From being the first Western nation to forge diplomatic ties with China to becoming the first Western country to establish a comprehensive strategic partnership, China-France relations have set numerous precedents and yielded significant outcomes. So as pioneers in opening direct-to-flight routes and initiating civil nuclear energy cooperation, this dynamic partnership has led the way in fostering innovation and collaboration. As a key driver in China-Europe relations, the China-France relationship serves as a guiding force, shaping the broader landscape of China's engagement with Europe. So, Mr. Cui, when we talk about connectivity, the elephant in the room, I guess, is geopolitics. We are all living in a complex world with a lot of uncertainties. How do you anticipate China-EU cooperation amidst geopolitical shifts?
Certainly, now for both China-France, China-Europe relations, we are facing, more and more geopolitical challenges. I think this change will give a lot of test for those relations. As we know, firstly, we need to find out some more mutual trust, because now, according to the geopolitical, sense, is for both China and France, for both China and Europe, they need to have some clear sense about the border, about the some control from government on the especially intervention from politics into the economy itself. So I think now it's time for both China and France and Europe. We think about so-called geopolitical return, or this kind of narrative by some countries. So we need to understand that the real principles for the relations not changed. It's just the result of some politicians, some public opinions in Europe, in European countries, they try to transfer the focus from so-called economic cooperation to a political confrontation. Another, I think, very important thing is for both China and France, and also Europe, we are the major players in the international relations. So we need to find out some more common grounds to help with the situation, including Ukrainian crisis and also the Gaza issue, some other. So I think through this visit by President Xi, it's a very good time for both sides to find some more common grounds. And even as we know, China and Europe, they are two, most constructive forces in the world. So we need to find out some more, structural cooperation, and we need to provide some more solutions jointly for the international community.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Zhuang, could you elaborate a bit more on your business landscape in the EU? You talked about you believing this immense demand and opportunities creating from the climate goals. What are your future expectations for the EU market?
Well, I agree with Mr. Cui. First of all, the law and the regulation have not changed. Mm-hmm. But there is a tendency, we are observing this as well, that people's positioning starts to shift. So we see some politicians, news people, and some public opinions have subtle change. We do see that, but the fundamentals have not changed. And our business in Europe is still $1 billion business every year, and it's still growing. I would say our business in Europe will continue to grow, probably more than anywhere else, and among all the overseas market. And we see a chance for us to be even more rooted into their consumer market. So we actually, from this year, we start to sell our consumer product into Europe, in Germany, in UK, and in Italy and Spain, on the residential storage with PV bundled. And I see that grow really fast because we see that consumers actually, they don't really change much. As we said, right, the law and the regulation don't change, and the consumers don't change either. They like to have better and cheaper product from us. However, this means we have to invest more in Europe because we need to set up team on the ground level to serve the families better and to make sure we're there for long term. So and also we see really rapid growth, explosive growth, actually 2 to 3 years down the road, which is the green hydrogen business and the green data centers that we start to develop. So I think most importantly is we also need to be open-minded. Okay, so Chinese business people, we also need to change. When you go into a different culture like Europe or US, it's not just interest conflict, it's not just the geopolitics, it is also a cultural difference and a value system difference that we have to bridge. So we have to remember that as a businessman, we have to change.
To embrace changes with changes. That's a good quote
Yes.
there. Well, Mr. Cui, I want to get your view on the economic significance, specifically on this China Railway Express for the Asia-Europe economy.
Also, for the past decades, this railway between China and Europe play a very important role to support this also in the connectivity in the trade sector. Also, especially recent days, because of geopolitical tensions, because of even COVID-19, I think the railway between China and Europe even play a much more important role to help the trade. Also, according to the understanding from the Chinese side, is this railway between China and Europe is a very, very important showcase for Chinese initiative about BRI, I mean Belt and Road, because also to facilitate this infrastructure and to find out some more potential areas for cooperation, always in the interest for both China and Europe. So also now including Germany, France, Poland, some other more and more European cities and countries that get the benefits from the connectivity of trade between China and Europe. I think it will give some more even potential area for cooperation. Also, the railway itself is not only a transportation, it's also the people-to-people and the culture-to-culture exchange. And also, it's just a basis for some more, combination of industries and logistics and some other. So I think once the European side finds some more real opportunity from this railway, I hope that, and also I believe that it will become another very important growth point for both China and Europe once they try to have some more collaboration.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, gentlemen. That was a productive and insightful discussion that we had. Thank you so much. And also a big thank you goes out to our audience for being with us on this edition of BizTalk. Thank you so much. My name is Lily Lu. Till next time, bye for now.